friends, and welcome back to the channel. I am going to be cooking for us today a pot roast and also a cranberry orange cake. I have never made a pot roast, and this is going to be a vegan one, so we are going to go on this little adventure together. I also just made a little Instacart order because I have no whipped cream for this cake, and it's currently 2 something, about to be 3 o'clock, and the sun goes down pretty early, so I'm going to rush and start cooking because I want this to be able to be seen during the daylight. So I'm going to tell you guys everything you're going to need for this recipe. First things first, I'm going to be using this. Arrow got me this for my 30th birthday. It's a Rafani like caldero. You could use a Dutch oven, but I'm going to use this one. I do have a Dutch oven. I just have never used it or opened it. So I'm going to use this one instead. It's stainless steel. And because it's a little date night, I'm going to go ahead and use this one because it's cutesy. We're also going to need some carrots, potatoes. You're going to need basically root vegetables, but I'm also going to be adding some fennel to it because I used it recently for my Thanksgiving plating. You guys can see that in my recent video, but it's just a nice like crunchy vegetable, kind of similar to celery, but it doesn't have a strong ass taste as celery. And then for your meat, you can use a roast, you can use a vegan meat replacement. If you're going to do this vegan, I highly recommend using the Beyond Meat steak or the Gardein beef chips. I think those are just the perfect consistency for what you would get out of like shredded pot roast. The other thing you'll need is some vegetable broth, or the one that you take out of like a jar with a spoon and mix it in with water. You want it to be very like sodium heavy because this is a nice hearty dish, and if you just pour in like water with like seasoning, it's just going to be too watery. You want to make sure you get a nice rich hearty vegetable broth or whatever broth you'll be using. Okay, another trick that I just learned while researching pot roast recipes is when you are making it like thicker, you usually would use like a flour and water like 1-to-1 ratio mixture to basically make a roux and make your sauce thicker. But I just saw somebody use the brown gravy, and Arrow happened to buy this recently, so I'm going to be using this mixture instead of doing the flour. And this is better because it's already flavored and seasoned, and it's going to like not have that flour taste that you typically would get with the 1-to-1 ratio. So we're going to go ahead and try this out today and see how it works for us. So let's put this on the stove, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to put this together. I'm going to remove the onions, and then we're going to be adding the meat into this mixture. And I'm going to get the oven preheated right now because after this is all combined, we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven to cook. Okay, this step is like the most important step. Basically, you want to oil it properly and leave it well heated, and then you're going to add your meat. This is what gives your plate the flavor and the browning. We're also going to be adding butter to this, but not until the meat is cooked a little bit through. I've seen people use jackfruit for this, but I just think jackfruit does not have that meaty roast taste that you need, so I highly recommend just going with a proper vegan meat replacement because I think it's just going to work way better for you, especially if you have people that are not vegan that you're serving this to. I think they'll enjoy it way more. And remember, when using a vegan meat, that you really don't need to cook it too much. It's basically soy based most likely, and it's pretty much cooked already, so if you're going to be cooking in the oven as well, it's going to get overcooked, and this can become very chewy. I guess the same with your meat as well. Like if you cook it too much in the pan before roasting it, it's gonna get chewy and overcooked, so you don't want that. I'm gonna add in 1 tablespoon of butter. You can do more or less, however you would like to, but I'm gonna use this amount because I'm not making such a huge roast. And don't worry about your pan sticking. If you're going to be using wine, you're going to use that to deglaze your pan. I'm just going to use a little bit of oil and butter to deglaze it. Basically, you want some browning to your meat before you put it all together, because once it's soaked, it's not going to get browned anymore. Let's set this meat aside so we can cook up the rest of our veggies, make our roux, and then throw this in the oven. Alright, time to deglaze your pan. You can add some wine here. Oil, butter, vegetable broth, not the whole thing, but just a little bit. I'm going to do some oil and butter just to kind of make a nice browning mixture. I'm also going to add a little browning sauce just to give it a deeper, rich color since I'm not using any wine. And some tomato paste. Using about half the can of an 8-ounce jar. No, 6-ounce jar. Because I'm Puerto Rican, I'm adding some sofrito. And of course, a little bit of sazon, just half a packet. As you can see, the mixture is getting thicker and then the bottom is deglazing, which is exactly what we want to happen. This is giving a nice, dark, rich color. I'm gonna add a little bit of water just to thin it out, because when I add my other vegetables and veggie broth, I don't want this to be too thick and chunky. I'm just gonna cover this for a little bit to let it boil down a little bit. Alright friends, let's give this a look. I literally just burned myself trying to open this. She's looking good. Just reduced like a centimeter. Put up all my veggies, so we're basically good to mix this together. This is also a good point to taste this and see if it needs any more salt or any other seasonings before you combine everything, because it'll be easier to mix it in here versus later on. I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar because the tomato is a little bit bitter, and a little bit more salt. Before I add my veggie broth, I'm gonna add some of this brown gravy mixture, and I'm just gonna get this a little bit thicker because with the vegetable broth it's gonna thin out. But this is a good point to add this so it can make it thicker as well as add the extra flavor. I said it's gonna get super thinned out. This can reduce a little bit if you want to in the oven, and then you can add more of the 1-to-1 ratio or the gravy mixture to make it thicker, but I would let it cook down a little bit with all the ingredients in the oven and then decide later on if you want it a little bit thicker. I'm going to cover this and we're going to put it in the oven for an hour, and then we're going to let it reduce and see what it does. One thing I forgot to do was add some thyme and bay leaves to the broth, so I'm going to just open up the oven and throw this in there, but make sure you guys don't forget this step. That way it's cooking all together at once. While the roast is roasting, you can make your sides and anything else you're going to be adding to it. I'm going to be serving it over mashed potatoes. I'm not making it from scratch. I'm using this one. It's the baby red mashed potato. And then I'm also going to make a side of Brussels sprouts. dessert, we'll be making a cranberry orange cake. I bought a bundt pan. I tried to find one at the thrift store, but they were closed, so I couldn't make them there. But I got this at Target, the smaller one, and I'm gonna be using a cake mix because I do not bake from scratch. So if you wanted the easy route, also the holidays don't have to be stressful. Get yourself a cake mix, don't do the scratch stuff, and everything else we'll do from scratch though. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm gonna show you how I make this. I've never made this before, but I have been dreaming of this ever since I tried a cranberry orange scone back in Connecticut like 2 weeks ago. It was so delicious, so we wanted to make a cake version of it, so let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is juice some oranges because we're gonna combine this with our liquid mixture that's gonna go into the cake mixture to give it a nice zesty orange taste. Because obviously you don't want like big chunks of oranges, so the way you get that taste in there is with orange zest as well as the juice from the orange. Rolling, rolling on. Te dejo que estoy grabando y se me está yendo el sol. Ven, señorita. Now we're going to combine everything together in a big bowl and mix it all up. This is optional, but I'm gonna add a little bit of brown sugar. I'm gonna add orange zest. You're gonna wanna zest some more as well for the outer layer with the frosting. And I'm just going to mix that all up. And I mixed a little bit of milk with my orange juice. You want about 1 cup of liquid. Oil or canola. The other thing I'm gonna add in here is some whole cranberries. You can use fresh. I'm gonna use the fresh for the top layer, but for the inside, I'm just gonna use the whole cranberry with the sauce and just combine. I'm gonna use like half a can. You can start off small and then add more if you need to. Some ground cinnamon and also some almond extract. You can also add vanilla if you like to, but I'm gonna stick with the almond. And then this is ready to go into your pan. Fingers crossed it does not get stuck to the pan and everything comes out smoothly. Hey friends, this is obviously not fully cooked. The vegetables are still a bit hard even after an hour, so we're going to have to let this roast a little bit longer, I guess. So I'm going to use a ladle and I'm going to add to this mixture a little bit of the brown gravy just to get a little bit of a roux going. I could uncover this or you could uncover this and let it cook down a little bit more, but I kind of want to speed up the process because this has been cooking for a long time and I am starving. So you can do it like this so you don't have to stir any more dishes. And then you can just mix it right back in there. Alright everyone, I'm going to go ahead and plate this. This will be mashed potatoes, Brussels sprouts, and the pot roast over top of the potatoes. Okay, our cake just rang, so I'm gonna stick a chopstick into it and see if it's cooked or not. It looks like it. Yeah. I'm gonna let it cook for like 5 more minutes. Yeah, 5 more minutes. The cake has cooled down for about 10 minutes or so, so I'm gonna attempt to take it out of the pan. I'm gonna put it on a cake stand, but first I'm going to let it cool on a cutting board. So let's flip this and see if it works. Friends, let's attempt this. I kind of feel like putting it on the cake stand so I don't have to move it twice, but I'm gonna put it somewhere on the side so it's easier to slide off. Well, it came off right easy. Gorgina. We're gonna go ahead and eat the pot roast, and I'll be back once this is cooled down so I can show you how I'm gonna decorate it. Okay everyone, so I transferred this to a plate. Just because I think the cake stand might be a little too tiny and I don't want the glaze to drip all over the table and counter. So I'm going to decorate it on here and then just put this over the cake stand because it matches. Do it a little bit less than I did because it's like pouring over onto the sides. I'm glad I put it on the plate though. For sure want to coat them with some sugar. I think that is beautiful. If I was gonna serve this whole cake like right now to a group of people, I would put whipped cream in the middle with the little garnish, but I'm not, and it's basically going to be used up in slices. You can definitely do that if you're serving this to a group of people tonight, but if not, I would just wait until you cut it into slices and then add whipped cream onto it. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed all of it and coming along with me on this cooking journey. Pot roast honestly is like the most coziest meal, and I think it's perfect whether you're doing it for a dinner party or like just a few people or you and your partner or just yourself. It's so cozy, so easy to make because really all you're doing is throwing everything in a pot essentially and cooking it down. And if you throw it in the oven for a couple hours, start in the morning, by the time dinner comes around, you'll have yourself a lovely meal. And of course, our lovely orange and cranberry cake. As you can see, I'm exhausted. I'm filming for a couple hours now, and I just ate, and I'm so ready to get on the couch and watch a nice little movie and wind down for a little bit. I hope you all are having a lovely holiday season, no matter what you celebrate or if you don't celebrate. I hope that the end of the year is just a beautiful experience for all of you, and that 2025 is a beautiful one for all of us. It's a lot of chaos going on right now, and 2025 is looking a little bit even scarier. But if this year has taught us anything, it's that we're strong people and we can get through anything. I'm so excited for what the new year is going to bring us, and I'm looking forward to achieving some pretty big goals in the new year, as well as making my dreams happen. Cheers to you and I, and to new beginnings and a new chapter, and a great wrap up to 2024. Happy holidays, friends.